Good evening. Welcome to our Bible Ponder for the week. Do you find it frustrating to not be able to see something that you're really invested in through to the very end? Like, have you ever been working on a project and had to give it up and let someone else take over and finish it? Maybe that's an account or a project at work or a DIY project at home that you had to maybe get some professionals in to finish. Or it could be a jigsaw puzzle that you've been working on during lockdown that you just couldn't quite finish. How does it make you feel? Do you feel like you've failed? Do you feel that strong sense of ownership that this project was yours and yours to finish? Or maybe you're frustrated when it seems like someone else is going to swoop in and get the credit for the work that you've done. They get to finish it after all. Surely everyone is going to forget you and just praise the newcomer. At least that's how it may feel. And I think these are all really natural thoughts and feelings, and I imagine that we've all felt them at some point in our lives. The story I've picked today is one of my favorite characters in the Bible, Moses. It's at the very end of his life, and the very end of the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, or the Law. It's a marked shift in the narrative of the Bible and a big turning point in Israel's journey from a family into a political nation. To get a running start into the text and to provide a bit of context for those of you who may not know the story or maybe haven't heard it in a while, Moses was the leader of the people of Israel and had led them out of Egypt where they were enslaved and brought them all the way to the edge of the land that God was promising them. But along the way, he had, for whatever reason, gone against something God had told him. And it's a pretty minor screw-up, to be honest, and there's a lot of hand-wringing over why God makes this decision, but God decides that because of Moses' flub, he doesn't get to see the whole thing through. He doesn't get to lead them into the promised land. He only gets to look at it from afar. And that's where we get to at the end of chapter 32 of Deuteronomy. So now let's read our text for this evening, Deuteronomy 34. Then Moses climbed Mount Nebo, from the plains of Moab to the top of Pisgah, across from Jericho. There the Lord showed him the whole land, from Gilead to Dan, all of Naphtali, the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah as far as the Mediterranean Sea, the Negev and the whole region from the valley of Jericho, the city of palms, as far as Zoar. Then the Lord said to him, "This is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when I said, 'I will give it to your descendants.' I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over into it." And Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said. He buried him in Moab in the valley opposite Beth Peor, but to this day no one knows where his grave is. Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. The Israelites grieved for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days until the time of weeping and mourning was over. Now Joshua son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom because Moses had laid his hands on him. So the Israelites listened to him and did what the Lord had commanded Moses. Since then no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all these signs and wonders the Lord had sent him to do in Egypt, to Pharaoh and all his officials, and to the whole land. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. So my questions for you to ponder are these. Has there been a time in your life where you found it hard to let go of something and let someone else take over? Were you able to let go in the end, or did you hold on? How did it feel? And there's a lot of talk these days about generations and the handing of things over from one to the next. And one of the bits in the chapter that really pops out to me is in verse 7, where it says, "Yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone." This changing of the guard isn't because Moses is no longer physically capable, and therefore he's just being chucked on the scrap heap. No, so what are some things in our lives that, even though we're still capable, that we need to pass on and let someone else do? And the third question is, how do we see this play out in the church? In most churches, there has been a large, strong generation of dedicated disciples who have played a huge part in shaping things for decades on end. And it's been really hard to see what will happen next, to envision the church as it moves on. So, how do you think the church should navigate the passing of the torch, like Moses passed the leadership of Israel to Joshua? There is, as always, a lot more to unpack in this text, but those are the questions I'll leave you with for now. But as the lockdown situation persists, we're interested in trying new things. One of the things we're looking at possibly doing is adding a discussion element to this Bible pondering. And that's more than just chat in the comments below. If you'd be interested in moving from this video into a Zoom call where those of us who would like to can discuss things a bit further over chat, you can bring questions that come out to you and bring them into that chat and we can discuss them. So what I'd like you to do is comment below this video and let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. We would either do it directly following the premiere of this segment in the evenings on Wednesdays, or we can do it at a different time, maybe the following morning on a Thursday morning, to give everyone time maybe to digest the text and think about the questions they want to bring to the call. So again, comment below and let us know what you think about doing a discussion element added to this. But thanks for joining us this evening and have a good night.